Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of To the Moms. We are your hosts, Kathy and Amaris. How are you guys doing? How
How
is
is
everyone
everybody?
doing? As you guys know, we missed an episode last week. We did not record, which we're so bummed about. So sorry for not posting, but we did have a lot going on. Last weekend was definitely one for the books.
Mm-hmm.
So we definitely want to update you guys on what's been going on. I don't think we've ever missed an episode since we started the podcast.
Never.
So yes, so it was bad when we
When that
didn't
happened.
record. And I
Yeah.
hand the mic over to Amaris to fill you guys in on her side and
Mm-hmm.
everything that's been going on with her and her family.
Yeah, guys. So, you know how we were talking about the graduation party and everything around it? I did not expect for the graduation party to end in such a traumatic way. So, pretty much what happened, my son eloped. Now, I don't know if everyone knows, like the world or like people in the family, when someone is autistic, elopement is such a big thing. It's such a high risk. Like you see it on TV, like this young boy or even like elderly people, they elope because that's just what they do. I can't explain that. That's just what they do. So it's a known fact, like, and I also think it's common sense when you're watching kids, you need to keep your eyes on them like a hawk because they're
Yeah,
kids, they're curious. Now, being an autistic child, your curiosity is heightened. You
right.
know, I don't want to say their lack of safety and lack of danger isn't there. I think sometimes they know it's dangerous and they still want to do it because they can't help themselves. They're like, they still do it because that's how Thane is. Like
Mm-hmm.
he knows, certain things are dangerous, but he still tries to like push himself.
Like very almost like free. That's free spirited
Right.
energy or like personality, right?
Right. So that's his personality. And because his father and I know that about him, we know
Mm-hmm.
we don't take our eyes off him. So the way I'm going to explain the story,
Yeah.
I'm going to say it from my perspective,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm going to say it from my husband's perspectives because we weren't together when we were looking for a thing. We were separate.
Okay.
So and it's important because, we're like two people trying to find our son. We had two different mindsets. So you're probably wondering who was watching Thane. It wasn't my husband or I. It was Thane's uncle, my husband's brother.
You guys were in the
And
backyard. Everyone was in the backyard, right?
so no, I
No.
was in the house because it was the end of the party. There was only one person here. They were talking to your aunt. No one's eating anymore. So I'm like, let me put this food inside. It's hot. Let me start cleaning up. Like, this is great. The kids are in the bouncy house. Abraham's outside. His brother is outside. His mother is outside. The kids are good. Let me go inside. Let me clean up a bit. So that's what I was doing. And I remember as I was cleaning up, I kept popping my head out like, who's watching the kids? Who's watching the kids? And I was told it was, the brother. So I was like, okay. So I kept like looking and looking. And then at some point, like my feet were throbbing because all day I was like watching the kids, just kind of like being on them. So I was like, let me take this moment. Like the kids are outside. I'm told they're being watched. Let me just sit down, put my feet up, and relax, you know?
So you thought.
So I thought. So then I'm relaxing. And I remember I was talking to my sister in law and her friends, and we all hear, where's Thane? Just like that. Where's Thane? We all got up. Like Jasmine and
Your
I,
heart sunk.
my heart sank to my butt. I ran out with no shoes on
Oh
and I was
God.
like, I was cursing. I was like, where the is my son? Who the was watching him? And I could see from like the corner of my eye, your aunt is trying to like get me to calm down because at this point I'm
My
like
God. Yeah.
screaming in terror. It was my husband, my mother-in-law, and I. We were running to the front because we're like, he's probably like in the front.
Mhm.
Where else could he be? At this point, I had like it didn't even cross my mind that my son was jumping in the playhouse and
Yeah.
he probably ran into the woods. I'm just thinking he eloped, like I have to
Yeah.
check the streets. So I'm there screaming on top of my lungs, looking for Than, and I'm like looking, I look to my left and my husband is like looking to see maybe he ran towards the creek and he's coming out. My mother-in-law is to my right. She's kind of looking down the street, across the street to see if she sees him there. We don't see him there. They run back to the yard and I'm just there screaming on top of my lungs. Because at this point, I'm like, I need my neighbors to know that
Yeah.
something is like going wrong. I need these people passing by knowing that something is going wrong. So I'm screaming on top of my lungs. And as I'm screaming, I'm also like peeing on myself. Like I'm just
Yeah.
flat out peeing on myself because that's how hard I was like screaming. And then I kind of realized I was like, I don't think Thane was here. Like it doesn't make sense. Like if he would have crossed 1, 2, 3 streets, someone would have hit him by now. Like I would see traffic, I would see his body on the floor. So I'm like, he's not here. That means he's in the fucking woods. So then I run inside and I'm like, there's two endings to this story. He's either dead and I'm going to plan his funeral, or I'm bringing him home and he's going to be fine. So I run inside. I was like, fuck this shit. Like, I can't believe this shit is fucking happening. I put sneakers on with no socks. I run to the backyard. I take my phone off of Bluetooth because I had finally put music on my phone because I'm here thinking it's safe, it's fine. So, the music is light. I take it off Bluetooth and I start calling 911 and I start running in the woods. I see my brother-in-law come out of the woods. I don't know what he's saying at this point. I have no freaking clue. So then I'm like looking, screaming for his name. And I'm on, so the operator finally picks up. And I'm thankful that I know how to stay calm in a situation to give vital information because that's the only way they're going to get to your house or get to your location quickly. You got to stay calm. You got to say your name, your address, what's going on. And I was like calm. The moment I started crying to the operator was when they asked me, what was he wearing? And in that moment, I was like, this shit is not happening. I'm like, you see this in movies. What was he wearing? And I was just like, oh my God. And I started crying. And thankfully, I got him dressed. I remembered like what he was wearing. So I was like describing his physical appearance, like he's, Hispanic, caramel skin color. So at this point, I start running into the woods and I'm just like, oh my God, like I don't think he went this way. He probably went that way. So I'm like running and my neighbors, they have a fence. It's white, but there's like one small panel. I think one of our trees had knocked it down and they just never fixed it, or they left it like that. I'm not too
So
sure.
it's open?
It's open and I can fit through it. Like I can like go through the side and fit through it. So I'm pretty sure, Thing can just run in and it's fine.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So I'm in there and again, I'm still screaming as the operator is on call with me. I'm still screaming on top of my lungs. I go into my neighbor's yard and I'm about to like hop it. And then I hear, they found him. They found him. And I was like, where are they? Where the fuck are they? They're like, we don't know. We're trying to find Abraham now. We heard him yelling, saying, we found him, but we don't know where Abraham is. So they're trying to get me to calm down.
Who was yelling, we found him?
I think it was
like a neighbor or someone in the family?
It was someone in the family. I can't remember. They might have all been telling me it. I don't know. But I remember I was pissed because they were trying to get me to calm down saying they found him. I was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm like, if I don't see them,
yeah,
they're
like where
still
is he?
missing
Yeah.
in my eyes. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. So then the operator, here's like, you found him. And I was like, no, I'm telling you right now, operator, if I don't see them with my 2 eyes, my son is still missing. And at this point, my neighbor comes out and you could tell he's like, is everything okay? And I'm apologizing to him. I'm like, listen, my son is missing. I am so sorry. So then the operator was like, ma'am, where are you? And I was like, I'm in my neighbor's yard. I'm like in the woods. He's like, I need you to go to the front of your house because police officers are like on their way. I start running. And again, I'm still screaming his name. I'm screaming Abe's name. I'm still freaking peeing on myself. And I run to the front. And as I'm like about to get there, I see one cop car pass my house, and I'm like, that's freaking weird. And I see that he's parked down to my neighbor's, house
Yeah.
down, like maybe 4 or 5 houses down. I'm just like, that's freaking weird. So then I see another one, and I'm like flagging him down. He comes out confused. He's like, hi, man. I was like, hi. Like, I called about my address, about the autistic kid that's like missing, and he was like, well, we got a call that they found a boy unattended, uh, that could be like your son. So I get off the phone with an operator because at this point, like I'm already talking to a cop, and the cop is saying something to me, and then all I hear your aunt saying, I see them, they're right there, they're right there with the cop car." Start running. I start running, and like thankfully, my street has enough space where like a person can run or can ride their bike. So I start running, and I see Abraham holding Fane. I see people surrounding him. I see, your cousin Jasmine there. Fane is like the happiest kid
Of course. Yeah.
alive. He
Of
thought
course.
this was like the best thing in his life. And I'm
Yeah,
just like,
he's just like living his life right now. He's like, this is great.
this is amazing. And I dropped my
Oh.
phone and I like grabbed Thane off of Abe, and
Oh my
I'm
God.
like this whole time I'm like crying. I'm like crying,
Yeah.
running, trying to control my breath, and I'm like holding him. I'm like, oh my God. Then Thane didn't want anything to do with me because like in his mind he thinks it's like a game. So
Yeah.
he's like,
Yeah.
Daddy, Daddy. So I like gave him back to Abe. And the neighbor that found him, she's crying. She's like, oh my God.
Oh.
Like, I saw him. I was trying to like talk to him in different languages. And then I realized, oh, he's
Yeah.
autistic. Like, I'm a school teacher. I saw the signs and I just
Wow.
held on to him. She's like,
Oh my
I
God, bless her
held
heart.
onto him, and she's crying. Girl, she is crying. Just I'm sobbing.
Girl, bless
She's
her
sobbing too.
heart. Oh my
I know.
God.
So she's like, I am so sorry that I like touched him, and I grabbed him, and
Yeah.
Abe's crying. And he's
Yeah.
like, you did the right thing. You did the right thing, and I'm so thankful. And at this point, I'm like hugging her, and I'm like, thank you so much. Like, he's autistic. I wasn't watching him. Someone else was supposed to keep eyes on him. Oh my gosh, thank you, thank you, thank you. So then at this point, I'm like out of it because I'm just
Of
like,
course. Like, what just happened?
is this real life? Like,
Yeah.
am I living this reality, this statistic of like kids eloping and parents
You
having
must
to
have felt
involve the
like you were in a
cops?
dream,
I
like a
did.
nightmare.
Yeah, I was just like, oh my God, like we found him, he's safe. Like
Yeah.
there's like no scratches, no bruises, nothing. And then your aunt comes and she drops to the ground and she is crying. And
Oh my
Abraham
God.
is again, this whole time Abraham is like crying. My husband has been crying for like maybe an entire day since like it
Yeah.
happened. Maybe even like longer. And when she dropped down to the ground, you hear his voice cracking. He's like, Mom, this is exactly what we're talking about when we say you can't keep your eyes off him. This is exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And then at this point now, I'm pissed.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
start screaming. I'm like, and this is why I say I can never relax. I can never breathe. I can never do this. I can never enjoy anything because I
No, we
can't trust
can't.
you guys. I can't trust nobody. I'm like, this is exactly why I can't relax. And the woman is crying some more because she's empathizing. She's
Yeah, of
understanding.
course. It's
Like, yeah.
hard. Like,
So then I heard her say, like, yeah, like I thought she said, I just didn't want him to go in the street, so I held on to him.
yeah.
It wasn't until later on, after taking a shower, and like thankfully, your cousin, my sister-in-law,
Mm-hmm.
she stood with us. She stood with us, and that was probably like the best thing for us because afterwards we were all reflecting and we were all trying to understand like what the hell happened. So yeah. So I'm gonna pause on there because now I'm gonna go back. Now I'm gonna go to Abraham's perspective.
Yeah.
So in Abraham's mind, after he had left me in the front, in the front of the house, his thought process was, people are in the house. We're up here. Dane's not here. Dane was in the bounce house. He obviously left the bounce house because he wasn't being watched. He's in the woods. I'm leaving it up to my brother who lost him to try to find my son. My son's gonna die if I leave it up to my brother. I gotta go in the woods. And he went into the woods. And he's like thinking like Thane, like, okay, I went into my next door neighbors. They have this tree house. He probably saw this was fun, but not fun enough. I'm gonna keep going. He keeps going 2 more houses down. He's found a playhouse. And he was like, my son definitely was here. He would have saw this, he would have played inside. And like, yes, I think he was like checking the playhouse or like scoping it out, and he sees like a little girl come. In his mind, he's like, oh shit, like I'm about to scare this little girl. This little girl is like, we found your son, we found your son, we have him. And then that's why Abraham was like, we found him. So they're like running to together. He's like, where is he? Do you have him? She's like, oh, my neighbor has him because he ran into the street.
Oh my God.
He ran into the street. So my neighbor has him because I tried to hold him, but my dog came out and he got scared and he ran. So this little girl, no more than 10 years old, maybe 8 or 9.
Oh my gosh.
Saw, like, she said she was in her kitchen or wherever. Sees Thane come out. She's like, what? Like, there's a kid. Yeah. So then she ran out to try to like, stop him. And, she's a little girl. Thane probably like scratched her, like something, whatever the case is. Yeah. She's still a little girl. And so he's running with her. And at that point, he's like, I don't care. Like he has his phone. So he's like, I need to find my son. He was holding his composure like this whole time. And then they're running and running and running. And he sees Thane with the neighbor, with the cops around him. And he said as he was approaching, he started to slow down. He started to cry. His voice cracked. And when he got there, he said, oh my God, I'm going to cry.
It's okay.
Oh, don't cry.
It's okay, girl.
The first words that came out of his mouth were, he's autistic. And everyone's face grew from like, what the fuck is wrong with you, to like, oh shit. And Thane is there like, no, daddy, no, because in Thane's mind, it was a game.
Right.
So Abe starts like, he starts sobbing at this point, grabs Thane, starts walking. He's like, wait a minute. How'd you find him? Like, how is he, like, is my son hurt? Like, what, like, I need to know what happened. And that's when the woman was like, she saw him coming out of her neighbors, stop traffic, like he stopped traffic. Someone came out the car, she grabbed him, and either she called the cops or that little girl's parents call the cops. And then she said, I did not want to let him go. Like, I was not going to let him go. We come home. So then after, that's when like I came, we're all together. And we're like walking the street, and like Thane was just like so happy, and I'm just like trying not to punch anyone because I knew eyes were taken off him.
Yeah.
So we're back in the house. Abraham is just sobbing and sobbing, trying to catch his breath, and like all the moments is like replaying in his head and over and over and over. And like Abraham has this memory problem where he forgets. And then he remembers everything, remembers everything. So it literally was like this like light switch for him. So he starts getting things ready for like bedtime, because I'm like, we need to wash him. Like, he clearly was running in the woods. We need to inspect for ticks and like
all that,
all that stuff. So then I'm in the living room with Cirilla. Now, mind you, you're probably thinking like, where was Cirilla? Where was she? I left her with a complete stranger. I didn't know who she was, but I looked at the woman sobbing, and I was like, I don't know who you are, but can you please watch my daughter while I go find my son? She was like, you don't have to explain. She is safe with me. And Cirilla was telling me something like, we have to go find Thane. And like, I
so
think,
sweet.
I think she was trying to say, Mommy, take my hand. I was like, no, Cirilla,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, I can't. And I start like running. That breaks my heart. Because now she's saying things like, where's Thane? We have to go find him. Oh, look, he's right there. He's in the kitchen. Or look, he's hiding there. Or she'll say like, Mommy, you were screaming so loud. Mommy, why are you screaming? Is Thane missing? So now she knows my panic voice. So the other day I couldn't find her and I was like, Cirilla, where are you? She's like, Mommy, I'm here. I'm right here. I promise. I'm like it's okay. And like that breaks my heart because now it's like, dang, this is the kind of trauma that you have.
No, it's not your fault, Amaris.
I know it's not my fault.
And I know she doesn't understand that, but she's not going to remember this for the rest. I mean, I don't think it's going to traumatize her the way you think.
I hope not.
It won't.
I hope not.
It won't. It won't. Anyone would have reacted the way you did, and I think.
Oh my God! Yeah.
You know, you handled it the best that you could. It's very scary. It's very
so scary. It's so scary, and then
it's still fresh in her mind too. So it just happened. It happened nearly a week ago. So try to give yourself some grace.
Yeah. So while she was like sitting on me, while we were waiting to get her ready, I have your cousin, my brother-in-law, saying, I took my eyes off him for 5 seconds. Like I took my eyes off for 5 seconds. And at that point I was like, my daughter's here. I can't engage in this. Like I am too broken right now and I need to stay sane for my kids and I need to stay sane for my husband. Because at that point I was worried about like everybody. I was really worried what was going to happen next. So once we get the kids upstairs, I looked at my husband and I'm like, are you okay? The kids are like sleeping at this point. And I asked him, are you okay? He's like sobbing. He's like shaking, quivering, like everything. And I'm just like,
traumatic.
It was very traumatic, especially because he found him. He was the first one that found him. So I feel like for him, his experience is more traumatic than mine, whereas mine is just someone was telling me a story. But he was living it. Like he truly was like living it, finding him and everything, whereas I'm just on the phone with the cops, we did the estimate. We think Thing was missing for a total of like 10 minutes.
Wow.
10 minutes, because I was on the phone with the...
But those 10 minutes probably felt like an eternity.
It felt forever. And I remember running back to my house and I was just like, concentrate on your breathing. Like you can't, like I was on the verge of like passing out and I was just like, breathe. Like there's just 2 scenarios. Let's just my mind was just find his body. You find a body, you'll know how the story ends. Find his body. So then that night it was, I didn't realize when the woman said like he ran into the street that he actually ran into the street. So I'm talking to my sister-in-law and my husband. I was like, what do you mean he ran into the street? They're like, that's what the woman said. And I said, no, she didn't. She said this. And they were like, we were all there when she said to us, he stopped traffic and she grabbed him. And I was just like, oh my God. Mind you, this was like before I had told my husband, I was like, I want you to go downstairs, talk to your family, and just let them know I don't blame anyone.
Yeah.
But now that I know like the full story and this process, I'm like, no, that was full on neglect. Like that is absolutely wild to me. The fact that like you kept your eyes off of a child, and it's not like he doesn't know any better because he had a younger sister. Like they're like what? 15? No. What's 31 minus 17? Whatever. Let's just say 15 years. You guys are 15 years apart. So like you should know better not to keep a child unattended. So
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that you guys, I can't even imagine. Like,
girl,
I still have chills running down my spine. Like just and you've told me the story, but the way you've explained it now, I'm just
it's different when you read it versus like
yeah.
hearing my voice, because I've had
Yeah,
a
because
couple
now
of
I
friends.
see the whole picture now, you know.
Right. And that's, and you know, I don't want to make this episode long, but I want a picture to be painted
Yeah.
just to spread awareness that you can't keep your eyes off a child no matter what.
Yeah.
There are other ways to say like, "Hey, I need help. Like
Mm-hmm.
I cannot deal with this. This is too much
Mm-hmm.
for me." Your mother was, you know, sitting there outside. Abraham was coming in, heating up chicken.
Yeah.
Well, yes, my husband was watching the
Mm-hmm.
kids the entire time while his brother was there trying to play with the kids. It was a moment where my husband was like, okay, like I'm gonna
Wow.
go inside and like heat up chicken. So like what, 5 minutes tops?
You
Like,
guys literally can't even have a second
right, we
to
can't
anything.
to
Anything.
anything. And that's what makes me so mad, because it's like, damn, like y'all really wanted us to enjoy this
There's no way.
party.
How?
But like clearly this is exactly why we say like, no, like where I'm not sitting. I'm always standing. I'm always with my kids. I'm never communicating or talking with other people. I'm literally like back and forth making sure my kids are okay. And this solidifies as to why I have to be like that, because I can't trust. I can't trust no one
No, you
now.
can't. And you
And
know,
you,
Mer, you were sorry. I was
no,
gonna
no, go
say
ahead.
like you were so stressed leading up to this party. Like you were. I don't want to say like you knew something was gonna happen, but
Maybe this is why I
maybe
was stressed. Too many
yes.
people in the house. No one really.
Like you were stressed. I've
I
seen you
was
stressed,
stressed.
but like this part, like it was really taking you out.
It
Like
was.
almost like you sensed something was gonna happen, or
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but
Yeah.
I remember leading up to it, you were just like, I want to cancel this.
It
and
was
then
a
that
lot.
happened. Yeah.
It was a lot because a lot was happening here too. And it's
Yeah.
also like the last week of school, getting the house in order.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had to do so much like extra things just to make sure. And like, you know, the party was fine. It was just like the ending of it. And after a while I was like, wow, I really was stressing for like no reason. Now I can like chill. Let me put my feet
Yeah.
up. Like my feet hurts. I've been on it all week and all day. And then this
Yeah.
happens.
Oh my God.
And
Yeah.
so the next day,
Mm-hmm.
after everything, I'm still crying. I'm still like,
You're still processing what
I'm still
happened.
processing. I can feel myself slipping in a little like
Yeah.
depressive cloud.
Of course.
I ordered him a medical bracelet. I'm like,
Good.
he's gonna need one.
Mm-hmm.
I registered him in our county's like special needs registry, and I think from what I understand, what that is, when you report them missing, they have their information quickly. They just pull it up, and his
Okay.
profile is there. So I'm like, great. I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to look into Project Lifesaver, which I
What
think
is
that
that?
Project Lifesaver is for people with cognitive like disorders
Okay.
or disabilities like autism, Alzheimer's,
Okay.
and I think it's a bracelet and it's a tracker for
Okay.
them. But I don't know if my county participates that or not. I'm still looking into it. But we have a tracker, so now we know we're gonna have to put a tracker like directly on him, because when we brought that tracker, it was for school to track his like bus, to make sure, God forbid, if anything happens, like we
Okay.
know where his location is. But now we know it needs to be on him when we go out and about, because
Yes. Yeah.
he's been trying to
Of
go
course he
back.
has. Of
You
course he
know,
has.
the next
Yeah.
the next morning he tried it. I'm like, and because I'm watching him,
Mm-hmm.
I have my eyes on him. I'm like, no, 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 we don't do that. That is dangerous. And he's getting pissed. He tried it again today. He's pissed. So it's just going to be that repetition, because that's how my son learns,
Of
being
course.
autistic.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
constant repetition, the constant,
Mm-hmm.
no, that's dangerous. We can't do that. That's that. You know, it's gonna stop one day.
Mm-hmm.
But we are going to build a fence
Mm-hmm.
around our property, because like
You have to. You
we're the
have
type
to.
of parents, like, yes, you know, we are sad, we have to heal from this, but at the same time we're taking action. I'm not just
Of
gonna sit
course.
under my blanket and
No.
cry about it. No,
No.
I'm
And you
gonna,
want your kids to enjoy the rest of the summer playing outside,
exactly,
but with a little
exactly,
peace of mind.
with a little peace of
Yeah.
mind,
Yeah.
you know. So um your cousins have offered Abraham to like help out because Abraham's gonna build it from scratch. There's just a certain style that he likes. He doesn't like that white fence. Plus the white fence is like really expensive, and what he's trying to do is like a fraction of the cost.
Okay.
So he's like looking into it. I don't know when it's going to be, like when it's gonna start. Because the basement still needs to be done. So it's like
I'm so sorry, girl. I know you guys
so yeah.
It's been a lot. How are you feeling present day?
So today I feel better. I have been taking them outside by myself, playing while they're playing with the water table. I've been avoiding it. I'm not gonna lie. Like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I was in this like dark cloud. I could even feel myself like driving where I'm like, I drift and I'm just like, this isn't fucking normal. So what we did, we stood at a hotel for 2 nights to kind of get out of this house, take away the responsibility of having to cook, having to clean, and we stood at a hotel.
That's the best thing you guys could have done, and I'm so happy you took that time to do that.
It was the best. We were playing in the pool. We went out to a restaurant.
Aww.
They had continental breakfast, so they like loved that. It was much needed. So when I came home, I was still anxious, but I was functional.
Right, yeah.
I was functional because all day Sunday, like, you know, the day after the incident, I was having like silent anxiety attacks. I had to call my parents to let them know what was going on. My parents are distraught. My parents are actually really pissed off. I talked to my female cousins about it because we have our grandfather's birthday barbecue coming in 2 weeks. My aunt has this huge yard with a pool. And I told them, I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. So this is the reason why, you know, I'm so sorry. But yeah, do you have any questions for me? Anything you wanted to ask?
How is Abraham doing? Like, do you find him is he still crying still, or?
So he's not crying anymore. I think he stopped crying.
Has it affected his work life?
See, the thing about Abraham is he can be going through so much, but he knows, like, I still got to get things done. So I think that was also hard too, because it was kind of just like we had this traumatic experience happen, but like we have to get back to normal. Right. So going to work, like, it was difficult. He was not sleeping. Like, and that's another thing. Like, he was not sleeping. The moment he'll close his eyes, it's like he sees it again and he's like, we're staying. Like, he's like in a panic. Where is he? I can't find him. And that was like, that just kept happening. So he wasn't sleeping for days until I think it was the second night at the hotel where he's like, yeah, I got a little bit of sleep, but you could just see in his eyes, he's just very tired.
Of course.
He's just very tired. His mind is like a lot. Ugh. So that's why, like, I kept telling people, because I'm like, in order for me to heal, I need to let the people close to me in my circle know what's going on with me and what's going on with my husband.
Yeah.
So that I can like heal, so that I can make sure my husband is fine. Because now I'm like, I'm scared for my husband, because these kids are his life. Every single decision that Abraham does is for his kids. This side business that he has for his kids. He's building generational wealth. He is supporting us financially because I'm not working. So I'm like, I need to heal quickly so that I can be there for my husband and help him heal. So he's better. Before we came on here, I was talking to him about it. I was like, how do you feel like present day? He's like, it almost feels like it was a dream. Like, I watched the movie and like, that's it. But he's like, I know it happened. I know it's real. And I'm now making these decisions in my life that like have to like happen. So yeah, so he keeps saying like, it's just gonna be you and me. He's like, I'm done.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
He's like, even when it happened, he's like crying. He's like, it's just gonna be you and me. He's like, we have no one to trust. But yeah, present time, he's just doing good. He's just tired. I think he's trying to catch up on the amount of sleep that he lost.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a week, so it's still very recent.
Right.
I know you said you contacted the city or your town.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any signs on your street, like those autistic child lives here streets
There's
signs?
not, but
How can
I
you get
need
those?
I know I was thinking about that. Like how can I get that?
Because we have a few on our street.
Oh,
Like
do you?
we have a autistic child lives here, and we have a deaf uh child lives here
Yeah,
as well.
I've seen those signs around town. I need to look into that to see.
Maybe ask
My
in like the Facebook groups.
That's what I was thinking, like ask like the mom group. I haven't reached that state of mind yet, like going on Facebook, because you're gonna get the, well, why wasn't he watching him?
Oh
If you
yeah, I
know
get.
that's how your brother-in-law is, like yada yada. So I'm trying, like,
I mean, you don't have to go into it. Maybe
no,
just
I don't, but like there's always those people like, oh,
nosy,
so like, right, nosy, instead
nosy
of like
Nellies.
helping, they
Yeah,
just want to know like the full story, and it's just like I'm just here asking questions. So, but I do plan on looking into that. Right now I'm trying to focus on Thane's birthday because
yes,
it's this week.
I
His
know.
actual birthday is Thursday and his birthday party is Saturday. So I'm trying to concentrate on that because I was just in this like depressive state.
Yeah.
I didn't get him any birthday presents, nothing. I just ordered birthday presents at this expensive ass
Mm-hmm.
store, and I did the pickup order, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, all right, now it's time to do catering. I
Yeah.
placed the order for like catering, and there was like, and yesterday
Oh,
I
so you're
felt,
doing catering?
oh God, yeah,
Good.
I'm
Yeah, you have to.
catering.
Good.
I
Yeah.
have to.
I have
I have to. I am making the sub rolls at home because I'm like,
Oh yeah,
places
that's
are
easy.
expensive, and like that's like easy. I could do that like the night before, or heck the morning of,
Yeah.
put it together, slice, call it a day.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's just a lot right
Yeah.
now. Like you said, we are going through it in waves. The crying has stopped, but I almost feel like my body needs to cry, but it doesn't want to cry.
Mm-hmm. Because you're exhausted, Amaris. Like
That's
you're exhausted. Like your body gave it all. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it
My
was a
body
lot of
was
trauma.
so tight. I was
Yes.
running, girl. I was like, thank God I was going to the gym because I was running,
Yeah.
running, like arms up and like everything jumping. Like my body was so exhausted, so sore. My mind felt sore. I told Abraham, I almost feel like my brain knows I went through something because I just
Yeah.
felt like screws,
Mm-hmm.
almost like screws
Mm-hmm.
in my head. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on in my brain? Like, I'm like, this isn't a headache. This isn't a
It's
migraine.
yeah.
It's
It's
something.
it's trauma.
It's trauma. And I'm like, I've
Mm-hmm.
truly never been in trauma before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm, still healing,
Well,
still grieving. Yeah.
it takes a lot to come on here too, and share your side of the story. So thank you for being
Mm-hmm.
brave and all the details.
Yeah.
I think it's important for other moms, other families to
Mm-hmm.
know, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all I have to say.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you for sticking around this episode. If you like this episode, please give us a rating. We're on all the socials. Please give us a follow on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And we will see you guys on the next episode. Bye.